Let's talk more about this. I'm joined here in the studio, France 24's Douglas Herbert, our international affairs commentator, joins us. I mean, Doug, it's no secret that this drawdown has faced a lot of opposition.
A lot of opposition, most notably in Congress, which actually has made it illegal for the Pentagon to do exactly what it's doing right now. There was a law passed earlier this month by the Congress, vetoed by Trump, and then overridden by Congress, basically saying, no, you cannot, the Trump administration cannot pull troops down below a level of 4,000. They're estimated to be going down to about 2,500, below 4,000, until the Pentagon, the Defense Department, sends us an assessment of the risk and impact of doing so. The real fear here, and you mentioned some of these elements, is that, look, Donald Trump campaigned on ending the endless wars. U.S. troops have been in Afghanistan for 20 years, since 2001. They were in Iraq since 2003, 18 years. Sure, people want to end endless wars, but the problem is doing so responsibly. And the military advisors, a lot of people in Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, fear that it's one thing to pull down troops. It's another thing to do so responsibly in a very tricky situation. Yes, talks have been underway, intra-Afghan talks between the government and the Taliban, but they've been taking place amidst a backdrop of intensifying violence across the country, and Washington accusing and Afghan officials accusing the Taliban of basically preparing a new offensive, and also the U.S. government accusing them of targeted high-profile murders of journalists in the past few weeks, murders of human rights activists, murders of government officials. This is all going apace, even as you have these peace talks, and even as you have troops drawing out. There is a lot of fear and foreboding right now about what the consequences of this will be. Too speedy a drawdown.
Let's talk a little bit more about consequences. Obviously, it's no secret the 20th of January will see U.S. President-elect sworn in.
Yes.
It might not be at the top of his agenda because, let's face it, the U.S. is facing an awful coronavirus situation. However, he will have to navigate this situation.
And there's also that little matter of the impeachment trial, which will be beginning
that little thing, yes.
You're absolutely right. Listen, Joe Biden is in a real dilemma here because, on the one hand, he understands that the current administration and Trump himself is rightly weary, as he sees it, of these endless wars. Who wants endless wars? Who wants your troops on a foreign country's soil forever and ever and ever? Of course, you want them to come home at some point. He's very, though, likewise, he's very wary of making sure that the drawdown is done in a responsible manner, given the very, very likely possibility of Afghanistan spiraling further into more violence and more instability. What Joe Biden favors is what a lot of Washington military officials, politicians favor, is a smaller, intelligence-driven counterterrorism force, because at the sort of crux of this issue are fears in Washington that there will be perhaps an Islamic State affiliate, an offshoot of al-Qaeda, regaining power. Perhaps in cahoots with the Taliban once again, using Afghanistan as a base once these troops are drawn down, using it as a base perhaps to rebuild a caliphate which has been decimated in both Iraq and Syria, as we know. So it's a very tricky situation. Joe Biden might review the whole peace process. Who knows? But it's going to be a big issue in his inbox.
Absolutely. Looking at lessons learned for Joe Biden and his administration. Thank you very much for keeping us up to date on that Afghanistan story, Doug.